Before we start any carving, I always like to think about what I'm doing quite carefully. This is a very low relief. It's only 1/4 of an inch, 5 millimeters, something like this. So there's not a lot to play with. What we can do to begin with though, is we can find out which parts of this daffodil, which is sloping in this direction, are high, in other words, right on the surface, and which parts are really back down. So I think you can see that this petal here, along here, this edge, must be quite high. It's because it's nearest the viewer. This one's further back, and this bit is probably right near the back. This is a little further back, and this bit goes back behind the letter here. Similarly, on the bell of the daffodil, this edge here has got to be high, around here, and this edge here has got to go right back. Now, one of the reasons I'm not cutting this back here is because it's a waste of time to get a nice neat edge here and then to have to cut it back. So I'm going to be cutting that and redrawing. So I do need to keep an eye on my on the drawing itself. I've got a copy to look at. Now from here, this part here is the bottom of the bell, so this is coming down, so this is a fairly deep part, and then over here this is quite deep. So I'm having a sort of trying to visualize how this is going to work. Obviously I've got to go in there, and there will be, if I can get it, a couple of little stamens or something going on in there. So that's the first thing to do. Look at your carving. You've got not much to play with, but the important points are what's really high, what's really low, and how they sort of work together, and try and visualize that. So once we've done that, we can actually start removing some of the wood. I'm going to start by making this scored line a bit stronger, and then taking away a little bit of wood here. Oops. What I'm doing is just creating the edge of the letter H here, just so I can see what's going on. And over here. So I'm just getting this edge. I could have used my V tool, but it's so shallow, I decided I can just go straight in. And the same here on this edge. This follows this edge of the petal around here. Set that in. I'm just going to take a little bit out of there for the moment. So I've got my edge of my petal there, and this is high. And also I'm going to I've done this edge here at an angle. Because the letter H, of course, will show up much more clearly once we've got this line in. Right, so that's a start there. So I'm just really protecting my letter here. Let's take that off. That's really quite important. Because at the end of the day I can alter the daffodil, but the edge of the letter has to be true. So I've just taken a bit round there like that. So that's now separated my flower. This bit is also going to come down here, of course, because this petal is right at the back. So let's just get the bit out of there. Right, so now I can start thinking about the actual flower. So I know that this over here, I'm going to need my mallet for this. This is high, so I can separate this out here. And I know this is an edge here, so I can take some of that out. Here's one So this petal is high and it's going to come down to what is going to be, get the right tool here. It's going to be a rounded over bottom of the bell. So this, get myself sorted out here. Get this. Oops. Well, you can see what's going on here. So let's take that out. So that's the lip there. I don't need more than that. And then it's going to come down around the bell here. And meet this petal here. So what I'm aiming for is still this sort of shape here. The bell doesn't look much until I start taking this wood away here as well. What I can't do is go further back than the actual background, so I've got to be careful not to go too deep. And over here. Now I'm coming round into the bell itself. I'm a little bit further on now. You can see the main shape coming in. Coming down there, around there. can see the high spots of where, of course here, some of the highest points coming down into behind the leaves here. And I will use a skew chisel, you know, to get into some of these places eventually. Here's the bottom of the trumpet. I'll probably put a V2 around there. Like so. And up here. So I'm going to work these leaves now to some sort of shape. I call them leaves, I meant petals, so that's right far back there. So when I come down to here, what I've got to do is give myself a little bit of an edge, which is the edge of the petal. So I'm going to create a tiny little bit of recess. That's the background here, and there's my petal coming over here. So a little recess there, and of course there'll be this sort of recesses in here. I'm going to clean this all up, the main shape like this, and then I'm going to tackle all these little extra bits. As I come to the finished surface, what I'm doing is directing my final cuts, so I leave a series of very light lines heading along the petals. This helps the eye, you know, make more three-dimensional. So finish off like that, okay, and then we can start putting in these leaves. So we need to find a tool. Let me see, like something like this. Having drawn these in, I'm going to set this in like so, and it's quite shallow because I'm pretty much down to the background here. Make sure that's scored in here. And then back to my little bent skew chisels to lift this out. What I'm looking for is a nice sharp edge that we can see. Finishing off like that. No, it's tricky to know which one you need to get, but there you go. So this is the background here, and this should be more or less here along with the others. As I said, a little bit you won't notice, but try and make those the same. So there's the backgrounds, and we'll do that along this petal along here when we come to that bit. That petal there, for example, that little bit we'll take out. Now this edge here, what I've done is I've nibbled it back a little bit. If I can just find the tool I want. Here, just nibble that back a little bit until I get to the edge. And then I'm going to make this edge sharp. Straight down sharp. I'm not going to undercut, but I'm just going to follow that there. Then I'll pick another tool, say, that'll come around here, and I'll make myself a wavy line around there to this one. So use the tools to create this edge. Although I've drawn it, it's easier if you just find the tools, and then you can set this in. So this is just like setting in anything else. To give yourself a nice sharp edge here. Then this will roll round and almost undercut. You run your little V-tool back under here, like that, to give that a sharp edge, because that's the inside of the bell. And then here you can create, you can see this, a sort of bit of a sort of edge here. So this edge is sort of running around here very quietly. So we have a sense of that there. And this is going to come in here like that. So follow that edge around there like there. And then we're coming in there like that, nice and soft.